Hey guys, Jay from RS Garage. Today we're going to walk through the steps on properly fitting a thrust bearing system in a 2JZ. These rules apply to any 360-degree thrust engine. So if you have an engine that has both a thrust washer or thrust bearings in the main cap as well as the engine block itself, you can follow these same steps. Now I've already checked the main tunnel and the vertical oil clearance on this engine, so my next step is to get some oil on the bearings, get the crank in the block, and I can install the thrust washer. So I like to put a coat of oil on the bearings, thin oil, because this is going to be the first time the crank is in the block, and it gives me an opportunity to not only check the thrust clearance, but I get an opportunity to see how the crank feels when it spins. When you're using a thick, goopy assembly lube, the crank doesn't turn nearly as easily because that thick lube is in place for startup, whereas this thin oil will just give us a good feel of how the crank turns in the block. Now as I lay the crank in the block, I lay it with this counterweight flat so I can easily access the thrust washers. When you take the thrust washers out of the packaging, keep in mind that these are produced in very high numbers. So feel around the edge of the washer, make sure there's no nasty burrs that you need to clean off. And once you verify that, you can get some oil on them and slide them around the crank. Once you've got them down in the block, you can get a dial indicator on the block and check and see how much clearance the thrust has. That's how much movement back and forth the crank has in the block. To get an accurate reading, you want to zero the indicator, maybe give it a little bounce on the part to make sure it's returning to the same spot. From there, you're going to pry the crankshaft back and forth and see what you have for clearance. So it looks like we have 5 thousandths, just under 5 thousandths worth of clearance as you allow it to float. If you force it, you can pick a little bit up, but that's not the game you want to play. You want to see how much free floating clearance it has. With the crank in the block, it's time to prep my hardware so I can install my main caps. I'm using an ARP 203-5405 main stud kit, and I'm going to use ARP's Ultra Torque lube on the broached end of the studs and the thrust face of the nut. The ARP Ultra Torque lube is not to be applied heavily, just get good coverage on the threads and on the base of the nut and move to the next step. I've also scuffed the bottom of my washer to give some traction against the main cap, just using a 36 grit sandpaper and a flat stone. So that'll keep that washer from rotating as I torque the fastener in place. We're going to put motor oil on the sides of the threads that are going down in the block because it's bare metal down there and you want to keep any corrosion at bay over time. This is an opportunity to also see how the crank feels in the block. I'm going to get some oil on the bearings and install all of our main caps. So we can give the crank a spin and also check the end play on the crank. Going to lubricate the face of the thrust bearing. The face of the thrust bearing that rides on the crank has these reservoir cutouts. The back that sits on the cap is machined flat with a part number stamped in it. Because I installed the crank with the counterweight down, it's easy for me to drop the cap in place, locating the washers. I'm going to take care to work the cap down into the saddle evenly. What you don't want to do is tighten one nut all the way down without tightening the other one, because you'll cock the cap in the saddle and there's a chance that you'll shear off a piece of steel as the cap pops down into its register. And then that piece of steel will sit under the cap and it won't be able to locate correctly. Once I've got the cap seated, I'm going to go back, crack the nuts loose. Now I'm going to use my tool to seat the stud and make sure that it's not tight in the block. So right here, the stud is tight in the block. I back it off just a touch, seat the nut. This ensures that the first thread of the block and the last thread of the stud are not preloaded. Not as big of a concern on modern engines with fine thread, but older engines that have coarse thread, you can actually cock the stud off in the part. Now I've got all the caps snug, but I haven't checked the thrust. The concern here is that the main cap that retains the thrust is not doweled, so it can be a little bit forward or a little bit backward, and that will offset the thrust bearing. So I'm going to go back, I'm going to take the preload off the nuts, I'm going to get a mallet and knock the crank back and forth in the block. And the thrust of the crankshaft is going to face that thrust washer on both the upper and the lower and get it flat and in place. I can also take a flat screwdriver. You're not going to use a ton of force here, but just put a little bit of preload between the block and the crank. Now the crank is stuck forward, so the thrust of the crank is pushing on those washers right now. Seat the cap down in place. Now these main studs get torqued to 60 foot-pounds in 3 equal steps. So I can start to run them up. Also keep in mind that I have not rotated the crank at all. 2JZ is a pretty nice engine, cast iron, a lot of rigidity. Aluminum engines, they'll move around quite a bit with the caps off or bed plate off. So you don't want to rotate the crank on most aluminum engines until everything's torqued in place, because things are quite out of shape. Even smooth pulls on the torque wrench, you're not bouncing the wrench, you're strong enough and you have enough leverage that you're applying even force as you head towards the target. Okay, first thing you do is look at your washers, make sure they float. So these washers are not stuck, they're able to float back and forth. You should be able to hear a little bit of audible noise as they click back and forth. That's the first sign that you've got something good going on. If the washers are stuck in place, take the cap off and figure out why. But the washer is free to float. Crank turns nicely. We can put the dial indicator back on and see what we have for clearance. With the caps torqued in place, we have the same 5/1000 of an inch that we had with the main cap off. So you are free to move forward. On engines that have doweled main caps, this is not a concern, but keep in mind that this main cap could be slightly shifted forward or slightly shifted back, and once it's tight in the register, it's going to offset and suck up some of that thrust clearance. For demonstration, I've loosened the number 4 main cap back up and kind of knocked it around, and now I've tightened it back up so it's torqued in place, but now we have around 2/1000 of thrust clearance. So again, it's critically important that you whack the crank back and forth and get that thrust aligned, because these are the same components now yielding a poor result. With the thrust clearance verified, I'm free to check my piston to deck clearance, and then I can take this back out, back apart, and get everything cleaned and headed towards final assembly. If your thrust doesn't float in the main cap, you know, there are some main caps that are on the market that you have to open up to get the thrust clearance. These caps are made with a high level of precision, so while they may cost a little bit more than some of the competitors, it saves you a lot of steps in machining and ensures a good outcome. If you have to trim the thrust washers down where they meet, it's not unheard of with other brands of caps, but again, buy the best stuff, head towards the best outcomes. When you go to start your car for the first time, you'll be using a thick assembly lube to protect the bearings before the oiling system primes. But if you've left something unplugged, you could experience an extended crank period before you figure out what's going wrong. It's not a bad idea to disconnect the clutch safety switch, and that way you don't have to depress the clutch as you crank the engine for the first time, keeping that big heavy aftermarket pressure plate from wiping the lubricant off of the thrust washer. If you're using a torque converter or any of these new DCTs with adapters, make sure that you're not preloading the crank. The crankshaft needs to be able to float back and forth in order to ensure good thrust washer health. If you kill a thrust washer, not only are you taking the entire thing back apart, but there's a real good chance that you're going to wreck the block and wreck the crank. So take your time, measure twice, and enjoy the process. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.